tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, everybody. You are watching and listening to AFTERBUZZ TV's Spotlight On. I'm Jason Ikeler, and joining me today, we have Australian singer, songwriter, and guitarist Hamish Anderson here today.
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I want to start sort of way back at the beginning of your career. We're going to talk about new music, and you're going to play a little bit later, so keep listening for that. But when did you first get into music?
I started playing guitar when I was 12 years old.
Okay.
And that was really the first thing that really kind of got me into music, and hearing bands like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones on Dad's record collection that was the gateway for it.
Was your family musical?
They were always like music lovers.
Okay.
But my mum like sings occasionally, but they didn't really play instruments and stuff. But yeah, a lot of music growing up.
Did guitar playing come before the singing, or was it kind of hand in hand?
No, it was for a long time I just wanted to be a guitar player, and that was the only thing I was interested in. And sort of like in my later teens, got really interested in singing and songwriting and other stuff.
When did you first consider yourself a songwriter?
I think probably I wrote a song that was on my first EP called Winter.
Okay.
I wrote that when I was about 17, and that was the first song I really wrote that I was happy with and kind of made me feel like I could write songs.
Was your family always okay with the fact that this is what you wanted to do?
They are now. They're very supportive now, but early on it was sort of, I think like most kids, saying,
yeah,
not going to make a living. Not going to make a living playing guitar and stuff. But yeah, I think that sort of pushed me maybe more, and they're super supportive now.
So did you start out in bands, or were you always doing the solo thing?
No, it was bands for a long time, and I sort of only really started singing because it was like impossible to find any guys that would actually sing. I just decided like I would try and do it, and then it sort of stuck. But yeah, bands for a long time, and then sort of when I started writing those songs when I was like 17, that was doing a lot of solo stuff, and now it's sort of a mixture of the both.
Okay. Have you always had sort of this bluesy, because you got almost like a throwback sound?
Yeah, blues, definitely I think from listening to those bands like the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin and stuff, and then I just got super interested in what influenced them, and whenever you do that, it's all popular music goes back to the blues. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
When did you realize that this was a career choice?
I think really probably the first time I was like in the studio and doing that stuff, it just felt really real, and I always knew it was what I wanted to do, but that sort of just kind of cemented it. And yeah. Was
there ever a moment, like an oh shit moment, where you're like, okay, this is it?
I probably have them all the time, really, to be honest. Like, yeah, it's cool.
So what's the local scene like? Because you started out in Melbourne playing. What's the music scene like there? Yeah,
Australia, Melbourne and Sydney in particular have a good music scene, but like over here it's just, there's so much, like it's so much bigger. And I think the main difference is there is a lot of diversity in the music scene in Melbourne and Australia, but over here it's like nothing really seems bound by one particular genre. There's like so much music and so many different styles of music. It's really cool.
And so when you released your first EP, tell about how that came together.
Yeah, there's this radio station in Australia called Triple J, and they have an online site called Triple J Unearthed where you can like upload your songs and they get ranked and stuff. So I just uploaded a few demos, and they did really well on the charts on that site, and from that the producer I worked with found out about me and got in contact, and it was a really great experience. And a few things like happened during it that I would have never, like this guy Remy Jaffe who plays for the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Ended up playing on some tracks. So it was things like that going into like my first recording experience, and the way it happened really organically was just really amazing.
What goes through your head when you get a call like, oh, Remy from the Foo Fighters wants to work with you?
Yeah, it's just bizarre. Like he mentioned, because I mentioned that I would like organ on it, and he said, he knows that guy Rami, and we should send it to him, and if he liked it, he might play on it. And yeah, it's really mind-blowing to hear music with someone like that playing on it.
On your first ever EP.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pretty big deal.
It's pretty crazy.
Talk to me a little bit about, because I think in America especially, I think probably all over the world, when we see artists break now, it's like, oh, they were signed as songwriters or they were on a reality show.
Mm-hmm.
And you're kind of going up about it the way people used to, where you get a fan base by playing lots of live shows and tour around. Would you ever consider doing a reality show?
No, it's funny how it's like it is such a thing that so many people ask when you say you're a musician and stuff, would you go on Idol or whatever those shows are. But yeah, for me, it's just, I'm not knocking it, but it's just not really something that interests me. It's more, for me, it's more of the, like you said, playing live and trying to connect with people and build an audience that way. To me, it's just sort of the fun part.
Okay. Now, is the end goal, do you want to stay in the indie scene, or would you like to get signed to a major label eventually? What's the goal for that? Yeah,
eventually I think it would be good to be signed on a label, but especially in Australia, it seems that nowadays you can do so much kind of without a label at first, and it's really good for emerging artists and just building, and then maybe once it gets to a point where you need more help, then it's kind of a good time to try and do a label type of thing.
And then you kind of already have your sound established. Nobody can come in and tell you what to do.
Yeah, it's funny, like Gautier, who's from Australia, and like people like that did it that kind of way. So yeah, it's really interesting how the music scene's changed a lot, kind of even in the past couple of years.
What are some of the Australian artists, because I know like Gautier, like you said, or Sia, that we're familiar with that came from Australia? Who are some other people that you can see breaking in the US?
There's a band called Angus and Julia Stone.
Okay.
Who they just did a record with Rick Rubin, who's like produced for everyone from like Tom Petty to Kanye and stuff. They're really great, and they're doing a lot of great things in Australia, and bands like Tame Impala and stuff that seem to be becoming really popular over here. It's really crazy to think how much Australian music is kind of translated overseas.
Yeah, we're getting lots of it. Yeah. And it's all really good.
Yeah, it's cool.
You're not technically living here yet? You're just spending a lot of time in the US?
Yeah. This whole year sort of, I'm still live in Australia, but this year has mainly been spent over here.
Okay. What made you decide to make that move to sort of break over here?
Yeah, I got offered to do some showcases and a tour that happened in June. So it was that type of stuff that started it. And then, since being over here, it's just so much stuff has happened, and feels like it's really moved a lot faster. So it's definitely, I've definitely really enjoyed being able to play music here and spend time here.
What's one of the like coolest artists or experiences you've had since moving?
There's a lot of them. Like, to be honest, really getting this upcoming BB King tour thing is pretty...
So exciting.
Yeah, for someone, especially from Australia, who just likes the blues. It was definitely a dream, but it doesn't really seem like it would ever actually happen. So it's pretty crazy.
How do you prepare for that? Because opening for BB King is like legendary.
It's funny. I've thought about it a lot, but it's kind of crept up in that it's happening in a couple of days. So it's a good balance of kind of not really thinking too much about it, and it kind of contradicts itself, but also kind of like obsessing over it in a strange way. But I think it's just sort of just to stay relaxed and just enjoy it.
And you haven't actually met him yet, correct?
No, I've never met him. Just always been a huge fan, and it's been a huge inspiration.
Are you like planning the moment in your head? Like, what are you going to say to him?
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, I think it'll just be cool being able to kind of watch him night after night, and just hopefully from like side stage or something. It would be pretty cool.
Did you grow up listening to him as well?
Yeah, he was very much. I remember being like 14 and hearing about BB King and asking my dad, who he was, and then him giving me there's this album called Live at the Regal, which is like a live album from the 60s he did, and it's just he's a huge influence on my playing and everything.
That's awesome. So your new EP is coming out end of October. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I recorded it here a couple of months ago in LA, and it's called Restless. The first single's called Burn, and it was really, I really this time wanted to record everything kind of live on the floor, and even the vocals, just try and make everything live as possible. So it was a really great experience, and I did it with the band I've been playing with, so we had just kind of the right amount of time of playing together, and it wasn't stale and stuff. So it was a great experience.
Is it, because you've released 2 EPs now, do you think you'll do a full-length album, or you'll stick to more EPs?
Yeah, well, this will be my second EP, but I think after this one, next year's going to be about the album.
The full length? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it hard to decipher? Because I'm sure you write tons of songs, and just to dwindle it down to like 5 to 7 for an EP.
Yeah, it is. It is hard to do it, but I think I'm probably becoming better at choosing between which ones should kind of be out there and which ones maybe kind of fall by the waist. But yeah, the album's a much bigger statement, so that's going to take a bit of time, I think.
Do you test your songs on an audience first, or do you?
Yeah, sometimes. A lot of the times, it's kind of nice to even do it, because I write everything acoustically and by myself, so it's kind of nice. If a song can really stand and get a reaction from that, then you kind of know it's a good song.
Okay.
If you can't really play it, with the type of music I do, if you can't really play it on acoustic guitar all the way through, it's kind of, maybe feel like you're cheating a little bit.
And I'd like to hear your perspective on this, because obviously music right now is so singles based and you're independent, so it's more about like a project of work. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because I've always been very much into the idea of an album and sequencing and stuff, that it is funny nowadays, but it's, I don't really, I think there's still a love for albums, but it definitely is. The single has really taken, and so much now, like, you know, you don't have to buy an album to get a song. It's just you can get the single and stuff. It's funny. I suppose there's, with lots of things in music, there's pros and cons.
Do you feel more pressure now when you have to like create a music video for a song and sort of promote a single?
Yeah, sort of. I think in a lot of ways it's funny now. You have to, like, doing music, you kind of have to do a lot more things than maybe you used to have to, whereas you could just focus on music. Now you sort of have to be involved in everything else. And yeah, it's interesting. Doing music videos, I can appreciate a good music video, but it's like impossible to try and come up with an idea for a music video to a song you've written. So I generally kind of find someone I can trust and just put it on them and go with the flow. So
the single and music video for the new album is called Burn. Tell us a little bit about that, and then we're going to watch a clip of it too.
Yeah, it's probably definitely, I think, the bluesiest kind of thing I've done.
Okay.
Kind of loudest and most out there. And yeah, the video we shot a couple of weeks ago it was an old house up in the hills and stuff, and yeah, it was really cool. It's sort of just like a game of like cat and mouse between a guy and a girl.
And then we won't spoil the ending, but it's a good ending. When is the whole thing going to drop?
I think the single it's kind of like streaming today, but it's going to be available next week. And
okay,
the video
on
will
iTunes.
Be,
awesome.
All next week, I think. That's sort of the first single and stuff.
Cool. I think we're going to play a clip of that if we're ready. Here we go. That is some intense guitar playing. Do you get to pick the girls in the video?
No, that was the director.
Oh, okay.
I had that job. And yeah.
Did you describe like, this is my perfect girl?
No, he just sort of, he did a good job. He found them and stuff, so it's pretty easy on my part.
Not a bad day at work?
Yeah, it was a pretty good day, yeah.
Not too bad. So tell me about the songwriting process for this album.
Yeah.
Are you the type of person that a girl breaks up with you or something happens and you sit down and write a song, or you go into the studio and create?
Yeah, I think I like to kind of have most songs all finished and stuff before going into the studio.
Okay.
Yeah, very much is. I went through a period kind of the middle of last year where I had writer's block and for a little while and stuff, and then towards the end of last year I went through some changes with relationships and friendships and stuff, and the majority of these songs really were written around then. And yeah, songwriting's always interesting because the process is different every time.
Yeah.
Whereas with guitar playing, a lot of times you'll pick it up and you'll fall into things, your go-to things. Songwriting is always, it could start with a lyric or it'll start with a riff. It's always interesting because it's different every time.
Are you ever afraid to, because you were saying like breakups and stuff, are you ever afraid to release something too personal?
No, I don't think so. I think for me it's sort of, I feel like some people can write songs about things, made up stories and stuff, but for me it really, at least at the moment, it has to be about stuff I've gone through, and the more personal for me is sort of the better.
Okay.
I find more honest.
Everybody likes a breakup album.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that album, give them the release date one more time.
I think the release date for it is October 21st.
21st. Yeah. Awesome. And that'll be on HamishAnderson.com, right?
Yeah.
And we'll have the link on our website as well. Okay, we're going to play a little game called The Last Time. Just to get to know you a little bit better. Do you have your cell phone with you?
I don't.
Okay, well, you're just going to have to remember or just make it up.
All right.
Okay. What is the last thing that you Googled?
Last thing I Googled. I think I Googled, this is so boring, but it was like the address of like Guitar Center or something, because they have to go get gear.
I actually interviewed somebody before and they said the exact same
really?
thing. So
Yeah.
I guess that's like a musician thing, I guess. Last thing you texted.
Last thing I texted. I texted my sister because I'm expecting a package in Australia.
Okay.
So I texted to see if it would come to the house.
Oh, that's got to be hard actually if you're moving all over.
It is, yeah. It's a bit tricky to keep up with it, but yeah.
Who was the last person you called?
Last person I called. I think it was my manager, funnily enough. Yeah.
We're all about business.
Yeah.
Last thing you ate.
Last thing I ate, I had a omelette this morning.
Oh, omelets are good.
That was pretty good.
Last thing you do before you go on stage.
Last thing I do before I go on stage. I think I just sort of zone out almost. I just kind of like to, it's always good to just be able to listen to music kind of by yourself for a couple of minutes before you go out and just not really see many people before you go out.
You take a shot or anything?
No,
That's what
that
I
would be
do.
cool. Post-show I take a shot.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, pre-show it would be a little tricky, I think.
Oh, your fingers get a little messy.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, that was fun. You will let you get set up for your performance. And we want to tell everybody listening to go to iTunes and rate and subscribe the Spotlight On podcast and all of AfterBuzz podcast. Anything you comment, we will see and write back. And make sure to share it with your friends. Now Hamish is going to play a song from his debut EP, and this is called Howl.
From the break of day until the full night, burning with the fire that only you ignite, living like a madman with all the things I do, knowing all the time I do it all for you. Don't you hear me yell? Oh, now don't you hear me howl? Whoa, 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 don't you hear me yell? Oh, now don't you hear me howl? And I felt the rattle deep down in bones, enough to make the proudest of all men feel so alone. I'm begging for you now, just like some child, 'cause the only one of the girl you drive me wild. Whoa, 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 don't you hear me here? Oh, now don't you hear me here? Whoa, 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 don't you hear me here? Oh, now don't you hear me here? Oh.
in stores October 21st.
Yeah.
And then you're hitting the road with BB King this weekend.
Yeah, it starts this weekend, and we're doing 7 dates. Kind
That's
of all
exciting.
around. Yeah, which is very cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So all of the info is at hamishanderson.com.
.com.au.
.au. Don't forget the .au.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not that weird. Well, thanks for coming in today. Everybody make sure you buy that album when it's out because it's going to be really good.
Yeah, thanks.
If you guys want more from AfterBuzz, subscribe to us on iTunes and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at AfterBuzz TV. We will see you guys next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.